Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm Nick McDaniel. He's Myron Fancher. How the heck are you, buddy?
Oh, it's great to be back at the news desk with you, Nick, for another interesting week of wrestling stories and wrestling news. What'd you take away from this last week, Nick? Good wrestling shows, bad wrestling shows.
Look, I mean, we did a couple indie shows this past weekend. We kind of covered them, on the Tapped In show. It was awesome. I love the doubleheader. It's always good when you get a couple shows in. We had a little bit of Crown Jewel we're going to talk about here in a minute. So
He saw a banger, didn't he?
And then he saw, there's a couple. Yeah. Look, man, speaking of which, I don't know if you saw that. Over on Patreon this week, patreon.com/tappedoutpod and tappedoutpod.com. He did a couple bonus things this past week where he went to a pro wrestling turbo show in Greenville. And man, we had to put one of them up on a little bit of higher tier to go over everything that was in there. So, man, it's absolutely a place you want to see because now it's like, look, we've already scheduled one for tomorrow that I've listened to. It's about a particular award-winning talent here in Georgia.
Oh.
And specifically a conversation about his 2024 and how we think the 2024 is played out. That's all Heath, and it's a very, very good listen. By the way, I've reached out to the talent. He's aware it's coming.
2024. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm sure we probably,
it's not a secret. It's Skrilla. He did a Heath's hot take on Skrilla's 2024, and I'll leave it at that. And that's going to be behind the paywall on Patreon tomorrow.
So I love with the new correspondent. It's more people feeling the elephant. Heath might be feeling one leg, I might be feeling the tail, you might be feeling the trunk. You're getting so many different ideas and takes on things. It's working out really well for us.
Yeah, and so make sure you're signing up. Look, again, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Tappedoutpod.com takes you to the YouTube page. Become a member somewhere. Literally, I am hours away. When we finish this, I'm supposed to sit down and record with Ray Lloyd Glacier to go over the Unbreakable Brunch's digital release. And look, we've talked about it. We're going to do something with that. That will probably be behind the paywall. Don't spoil it. Don't, because we want to hide all of our reactions and everything behind the paywall. We've encouraged people to absolutely go out and purchase it and watch it for a million reasons. But yeah, our takes we need to save. We're going to do those behind the paywall of what we think of the Unbreakable Bunch and break it down a little bit.
Tell me what you think of my performance, folks. I think my performance stole a good bit of the wrestling audience scenes.
All three of us bought it, not rented it, bought it.
Yes, and it's in my personal collection.
Yep, it's I did mine on Apple. I think I don't know how you.
I bought mine on Amazon because I buy everything on Amazon.
So absolutely, check them out. Unbreakable Bunch digital release was last Friday, and again, the original point of that conversation was that interview will be behind the paywall for a couple days, and then it will drop out potentially. I'm going to ask Ray when he wants it out specifically. That'll be a huge part of how we decide that.
Who was your favorite character in the whole movie? Can we say that?
No. All of that stuff's going to be on the interview. That's what I'm saying. We're not going to go down it at all. So check them out. Amazon Prime Video, Apple, the Apple TV store, Apple whatever. All for and most of your other streaming services, it's available to purchase now. So the Unbreakable Bunch. Look, we talked about the stuff that went down this past weekend.
Streaming.
The indie shows or whatever.
More streaming
Speaking of streaming, Crown Jewel. These Saudi shows have become a thing. They get a couple a year, pay like $50-something million to have them. And by the way, I don't know if you saw, I wanted to ask you if you saw, Triple H basically confirmed these shows aren't going away. This is a.
Well, why would they? They usually give them a show for them. I mean, they were yeeting hard when Jay came out. You hit it dead on. Giving Jay his own entrance was brilliant. You were telling me that. You watched the first match before we went to Southern Fried, and the only thing you would tell me was Jay got his own entrance. And that was brilliant. That added so much atmosphere. But that crowd went nuts when Jay came down. The crowd was super happy with everything they saw. Okay. And the crowd was even happy with Monday Night Raw, which I thought was kind of subpar on its own. The only surprise really for the whole Crown Jewel show to me was Roman taking the pin. You said that you just figured that was going to happen anyway. It was a surprise for me because I just thought Roman's the unpinnable guy. But the rest of the show,
yeah, it was. Look, we talk
it was
about
formula.
They're appeasing the crowd. They're appeasing the look. There again, there's $100 million plus a year of why they're getting what they're getting. That's why they got the Crown Jewel champions. Those belts. Which, by the way, how about that last minute? Like, hey, they're not coming back. They're not going to get to keep these belts. They're going to stay here. They're going to get a ring.
They're going to be at the WWE Experience in Riyadh.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, okay, well, cool. I mean,
the interesting dynamic about the women was, though, they were both heels, and Liv Morgan got such a, she is so popular even as a heel. The whole gimmick she's got going. I was amazed Tiffany was able to make it after that lump. I know SmackDown was pre-taped, but man, she had a lump on her noggin on that.
Yeah, she had a week. She basically had a week to recover.
Put some ice on that thing.
So
she's stealing the show everywhere she goes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's a future star for sure. And look, she's a great example of something we're going to discuss here shortly.
Yep.
But like I said, it's all the matches kind of felt like hey, we're just filling the show.
Formula
was not a bad match. I thought the matches were all really
there
well.
wasn't a bad match on the card.
Bloodline's kind of the only story. They progressed by adding Sami into the mix physically, getting him into the ring, and then we took that next, step where, look, we kind of, like you said, yeah, you asked me, like, you were surprised by the pin, but I'm like, Solo kind of needed that pin, I think, again.
Oh, yeah.
That's just me. I think it was necessary. But
that
again,
elevated him. Good God, that elevated Solo so much. He's now, every time he gets one of those pins versus one of the bigger guys, he becomes more and more a legitimate villain and a badass. So it's good for him.
Yeah, and then we finally got the step of even together, they're still outnumbered. Yeah. So that's kind of why they need that next piece, and we'll get there. We're 3 weeks, roughly 3.5 weeks, give or take, away from Survivor Series. So we got some time to get there for sure. But again, Crown Jewel shows, they're not going anywhere. Just kind of get used to it. I think every now and then they need to swing for the fences on one. I think they need to make them, that's why, like, a Logan Paul goes, or look, I get what people think about
Goldberg. But they're not for us, Nick. They're not for us. They are for the Saudis. As long as the Saudis are happy, they don't care.
Let me ask you a weird twist, because, a lot of times, what did you think of the Raw being there?
It was kind of boring, except for some little some little things. I think it was kind of boring. I liked the women's battle royal. That was fun. A very unexpected finish. I love Jade Cargill's. Was that Deadpool type gear?
Mm-hmm.
That was super cool. They did that whole hint of her and Bianca facing off. I don't think that's doing anything. But little chemistry stuff. Raw had to have been there, because are you gonna fly them all the way back and then do a show? How long is that flight?
Look, they've done it before. I mean, so or they they can tape Raw, blah blah blah, whatever.
Just give the Saudis an extra show.
Well, that's what they did. Not? I mean, they gave them a Raw, and
they loved it. They loved it.
Here's what I think in my future recommendations. By the way, doesn't mean anything. Why not plan your trip to where, like, the before or the afters, make your SmackDowns or your Raws are essentially figured out where it's Europe or something, so you're
tour, and they've got a big European tour coming up too.
Oh, they've already planned. They've got going into WrestleMania next year. They're actually going to be touring some of it overseas. So I told a lot of people, I'm like, it's beginning signs, folks, because then how difficult it is just to go ahead and put WrestleMania over there as well.
Oh, question for you, Nick. How long do you think it's going to be before NXT is in Saudi? The way it's being developed.
No, I just still, it's so developmental still. Like they want, again, 50 plus million reasons. They want star power.
We'll give them Friday, Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday. Give them the whole package.
It's not, I don't think that return of investment's worth putting all those people on that plane and flying them all over.
They were there. There were so many people there. It was mind blowing. They had how many women there for that battle royal?
Oh yeah, I'm talking about, but I meant the NXT like main roster people. I don't know. I just don't think that it's because. Speaking of which, I mean we're recording on Wednesday, so tonight we're going to get the big.
Oh God, I can't wait for tonight.
The big battle, the NXT ECW versus Dynamite. Which you want a bold prediction?
What's that?
Dynamite win. Dynamite's going to win this.
I have to disagree.
All right.
The only way Dynamite wins is if people can't find or don't realize NXT moved. The hardcore wrestling fans want to see the 2300 building.
Pause. But Dynamite went the other way once, and that's diehard wrestling fans that watch AEW, and they didn't make the move to go from Wednesday when they went to Tuesday. Remember, they got obliterated when they moved to Tuesday that one time. More casual fans are watching the CW, watching wrestling. I think they're more habit forming.
Yeah.
Moving them to Wednesday, I think hurts them more. It's already kind of close. I just think they lose. So listen, I didn't say they're going to obliterate them or anything. No. I just think you're going to lose enough with that night move, with that moving nights, that I think that's how they get the win. By the way, I'm making that prediction. Good. I don't think it means anything.
No. But I mean, so many moves going on in the WWE right now, and so much news, good news, fake. I hate to say fake news, but why is Jonathan Coachman still talking anyway?
He's there. He's got an attachment. It's why Vince Russo talks. It's why Jim Cornette still talks. It's why Dutch Mantell has a podcast. I mean, they were all involved at some point. So they kind of can. And by the way, Coachman, he talks about sports and wrestling because he was also on ESPN. So he's got both, bases that he gets to discuss and talk about. So that's just it. I mean, and it's fine. He has a right to his opinion. But, he brings up that he brought up that Becky wanted like $2 million and they let her go. And that's why she's not there. And then a story comes out that that's not true, that it's kind of inaccurate. And as we always talk about in wrestling, Myron, it simply is,
is there any accurate or inaccuracy in wrestling news? Because most of wrestling news is either based on social media posts or rumors.
Yeah.
Or stuff they see on television. And
I'm not saying he's wrong. He might, but all the implications have come out since, people saying, yeah, that's not true. It's not accurate.
I think I see pictures of Becky with the baby, and she looks extremely happy.
Yeah, here's the funny thing is I understand everything I'm about to say because I'm going to get pushback on it. I mean, God forbid she's just happy being at home, being a mom for now.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that simple. That's all we're saying. But look, it was not the case for these others.
Oh.
Indy Hartwell, Baron Corbin, and Tegan Knox, cuts, all gone. I think somebody actually said the Baron Corbin actually didn't get cut.
They're not going to renew his contract.
Yeah.
So
that's tomato, but I gotta get
he was getting the AEW treatment where they just weren't using him. He was on the payroll, but on the bench. Indy Hartwell was all over the place, but I guess they just weren't happy with what they were getting out of her. I thought she was great. I liked her.
Didn't they taped SmackDown?
Yes. So she came on television.
Cut her after she had been cut.
3 hours after they announced she was released, she was on television.
Yeah.
Tegan Knox, though, she had 3 ACL surgeries in 5 years, or some factor like that. I can't remember the exact details. So that's a bad investment. I mean, she was really good, but that's a bad investment. And we're dealing with TKO. And as you said earlier, when we were doing the pre-show, TKO is different than Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Well, it's a business, and there's going to be a lot of business decisions made. And yeah, I do think 100%. They're just going to look at look, they have a precedent because dealing with UFC. There's a handful of real, needle movers, and not what wrestling fans think are needle movers. We're talking about people that are like moving merch, moving ratings, and like guys that they say that's the face of a brand. Like that's a guy. From everything that was been we've read and seen, it appears that like at the top of their list, it's Cody, Roman, and Punk. Look, why? I mean, look, are we at a point where Punk's overvalued again in WWE, just like I felt like he was in AEW? Could be, probably. I don't know. But look, he's proving worth to them somehow, some way. The exception to that, by the way, obviously, Jey Uso, we wanted to reference out, like, hey, It came out in October. He moved more merch than Roman and Punk combined in the month of October. That's how you create your value and your worth with a company like TKO.
I think WWE is in such a, and we have this thing now where WWE is in such a strong place. Like, say, okay, we need more X. We can go down to NXT and pick X and put it back up on the main roster. So our difference of opinions, where you were saying they were cutting for budget, I think they were cutting to accommodate all the talent they were bringing into NXT. They were putting some people on the main roster that they needed. They had really good, that Metaphor group was a good gimmick that they could bring up, fill some spots they needed, better investments possibly. I think Lash Legend is got an unlimited future. She's huge woman, like really, really tall, really, really strong. She's got a big future. They've signed 4 massive female talents down in NXT. They've got to make room for. They're always bringing in people with this NIL deal, or setting them up to come in. They've got that new DEI.
We need to talk about that WWEID. I think there's we discussed this a little bit. The more I think about it, I think there's another Patreon or YouTube member video where we discuss this, because we're not going to get into it because I don't want to give it away. I might double down on what we discussed off the air about my take on. I don't want to give it away, so I'm trying to think of how I'm going to phrase this part. It is budgetary. It's 100% budgetary in my opinion, and I could be totally wrong, but here's why. When Eric Bischoff brings up the merger, or the Time Warner AOL merger, he tells a really good story about it at a Christmas party. When it was announced, everybody was all excited. And then there was one guy that was like, And he's like, you're not going to feel this, but in 6 months to a year, that's when you're going to start feeling the actual changes of what this means. Let's do a calendar, folks.
Yeah.
We're creeping into that window. Yeah. I think what we're about to find out is TKO is a business. They make business decisions. How they pay fighters, etc., and all that kind of stuff. All of this, I honestly believe they believe, and this is where I'm going to leave it, because then I'm probably going to cut this video after or later or tomorrow. Who knows? Every fighter, wrestler, has a value.
Yes.
You cannot. Vince would overpay because he really thought he could even grow them even more so. I think they see
invest
a value
in people.
Correct.
And
I don't know that TKO.
They're going to be, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
They're going to look at somebody that they think is going to give them an immediate return on investment without 10 years on the roster, taking up space. They're going to look at somebody who can sell. I mean, Indy Hartwell and Baron Corbin don't seem to be massive merch movers. I think the Metaphor group could probably move a lot more merch than them. I think they could become a less comedic New Day somewhere in there. I think there's a lot of potential for them on the roster that could do stuff that Corbin, Hartwell, and Knox couldn't do. So I think they're the better financial decision for them, and
Right.
moving them up, and because they're probably still getting them at NXT rates on top of it too.
I think somebody said that when you bump to the main roster, there is a bump, like as you have there's a minimum or something to that effect.
Minimum guarantee.
So it's kind of one of those. Like I think you do get a little more, but it's not that's the thing. I'm like, okay, if they let Corbin go and he's making 3 times of the guy that you move in, you're thinking they're making space, and I'm like, no, they're saving money because they're going to cut his salary, replace that position with somebody who's cheaper, and then they're going to bring in somebody who's cheaper, even below that, to fill in that NXT bubble role if they even have to. By the way, there's a whole part of that WWID thing that we discussed off the air that I think solves a lot of their financial opportunities.
Candice LeRae. Was that a business keeping her? Was that a business decision, or was that a decision based on the fact that Gargano is really high in the tag team rankings right now?
They may have plans for her. Like I could say, I think that's the conversations that have to happen. What are the plans for Baron Corbin? We don't have any. Then why is he on the payroll? Like, what are we doing with Indy Hartwell? We're trying to cut her. We can resign her in 6 months if you figure out something.
At a lower rate, probably.
I mean, even if you get her at the same, you're not covering her rate for 6 months.
Yeah.
You see, I mean, that's what I meant by I think those are kind of decisions.
Now, okay, of the 3 of them, which one of them is an AEW signing?
Corbin.
Corbin's AEW?
Hold on. Let me back up. Let me rephrase this. If I was Tony Khan, that's who I sign. If you're asking me who I think Tony Khan will sign, he's more likely to sign the women than he is Baron Corbin. I think he needs somebody more like Baron Corbin than he needs the women. But that's just my take.
Well, he's stocked up on women wrestlers right now. I think if Tegan Knox was healthy, she'd be great for him. I think Indy Hartwell could be a voice of experience that a lot of his women wrestlers don't have. So maybe. I just can't see Corbin at all on an overloaded roster where big men don't do well.
That's why I think he needs to be there. He's a big guy who could be a star. Look, I'm not that guy of they misused him. I think somehow the timing just didn't work, and there was this, that, and the other.
Tony has to quit hiring everyone who gets released or leaves WWE and focus on making his own stars more. Ugh.
By the way, I don't know if you saw the post. I wanted to ask you this real quick. We got to get moving here, but the Sasha Banks post about how somebody posted that Vince never saw her as a star. He saw her as a good hand, but he made her because he put her with other pieces. This is a conversation we've had on these podcasts in the past, where we always felt like she was part of the program. She wasn't the.
No, she was a great wrestler. She was a great wrestler. When she was with WWE. Yeah, I saw some of her matches. Some of her NXT matches were phenomenal.
With who?
With really good
Bayley,
wrestlers.
Becky, and Charlotte. That's kind of where we always came back to.
Yeah.
What has she done outside when she's not wrestling those women? That was, and I'm not saying she's bad, by the way. I'm asking. That's literally tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Send all the hate mail there. I just thought it was very unique that it was another example of TKO / the TKO WWE letting her walk and not overpaying her. They saw a value on her and they let her go. She, to me, was the first one that gave me this opinion of how they're going to run their business, and I think we're seeing it to continue. That's all.
That's logical. That's logical. And that was probably like you said, the start of all this. But that was in that weird Vince phase where Vince was in, Vince was out, wasn't it? That was.
Well, she left before. I mean, remember that, and then she can't. Yeah, it was a whole mess. But look, speaking of in or out, let's go ahead and let's jump to the other thing I wanted to talk about on the national scene. So it's coming out now, and there's a reason I put all this on here. Netflix, of course, hey, who do we want on our show? Who do you think they want? Oh, of course, they want all the top guys. They want Roman. They want Cody. They want
you got to transfer to Raw. You got to transfer to Raw. We need this amount of X guys on Raw. You got to take them off SmackDown and give them to us because we've got this massive contract and we at least want them on the big show. You know, we
By the
want them
way,
where
I don't know if you heard, they want Cody Rhodes because they want Cody Rhodes to also do a movie or, some more content on Netflix.
a movie with Cody.
Yeah. Or a series or something. Like, you know what I mean? They're all in. They're in the Netflix wants to be in the Cody Rhodes business. So, okay, so we're going to trade Gunther over to SmackDown and look, there's going to be a draft, folks. That's the only way they fix this, right?
There's going to have to be okay, this is the biggest brand split ever, Nick.
Okay, hold on. Pause. You said exactly. I walked you right to where I wanted you to ask you.
Yeah.
Or forget the brand. We're just not doing the brand split because here's the thing. We're not on TV like, regular TV anymore. Like, why is it necessary to have the brand split? Because you're not going to have a Fox and a USA, arguing about it, or the CW. Like, they just don't care. NXT's its own brand, so that doesn't matter. Like, why do we even need a brand split anymore?
3 separate programs. 3 really separate programs where you got development storylines that are not affected by the other brands at all. Your crossover will be much harder to do.
Oh, no. You know what it does? If you want to see this match, it'll be on Netflix on Monday Night Raw. If you want to see the match, they can tease it on SmackDown. The match is on Netflix, and then they could do the same thing. Hey, if you're on Netflix, we're announcing a match that's going to be on USA on SmackDown. Can they force each other to make you get Netflix to see some of the big things that they announced they're going to do on Raw? And then on Netflix, hey, make sure you can't just go to Netflix only. If you want to watch this match, it's also going to be on SmackDown. So you still got to have a streaming service that covers your having USA as well.
Divide up the premium content?
WWE's like, hey, we just got to make everybody happy. We're giving both of them are going to have Roman. Both of them are going to have. Look, they don't have to be on there every show. That's the beauty of it. You can, sometimes they'll be there, sometimes they won't. Just shift them around. But if you hey, we're going to have a big match, a big tag match on Raw that they announced on SmackDown.
That would be tough on the rest of the roster, though, because if you're a smaller talent that they're trying to build up, you could get stuck between Roman being on every single show they have.
Are you, though, if they both go to 3 hours?
There's a good point.
So it makes it easier. By the way, you know what it does do?
What?
You don't have to cover as much payroll if you got the guys bouncing from show to show. You don't have to have definitive rosters.
Over 3 at times. Because they've done such a good job transferring WWE talent back to NXT.
I still think you're still going to have the roster because you got to get brass breaks and you can't oversaturate them using them on every single show. But just acknowledge the fact that we're not doing this brand split thing anymore. By the way, kill the 2 title thing. I'm still 100%.
I've not been. The women's tag team titles to me have been the best tag team titles they have, because they are defended on all 3 brands. I love that. They've been getting more exposure than any other tag team product they have. They're, to me, the Georgia Heritage title, where it goes around and it's defended everywhere, which has elevated the 2 guys that have had it this year in Georgia, Ashworth and Seabolt. Both of them taking that belt, Terry Lawler, taking his belt around and defending it in other places, have elevated them and the belt. So it's the same concept. If you've got 1 belt, you can make it look better than 2 belts floating around. So I think you're right. I think you've got some good points there. Then you can have unification matches and a big pay-per-view where before the end of the year. What's after Survivor Series?
Or have unification matches on the first Raw on Netflix. The Super Raw that they have. I'm not saying that happened, but it'd be cool. But
When,
look,
when
hey,
do people pick up our theories and start posting them on like wrestling news sites? We got to start
it's
turning this stuff in. I
it's
mean, we're
happening.
experts, aren't we?
No, not by a long shot. That is not. I always tell people we
When
are
can we
not.
call ourselves experts?
Never. I just tell you, like, I just like to talk and throw my opinions out there. That's it. That's like literally that's it. Hey, speaking of throwing it out there, man. Look, before we get into the indie stuff this week, we gave away a set of tickets yesterday.
Oh, this is so cool.
And so we're good to Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling, Tannery Row Ale House, right there in Buford, Georgia, this Friday. Show is 7 p.m. Come out and check it out, dude. It's going to be a blast. They're going to have a meet and greet with Preston Vance there, AEW's own, former Dark Order.
He was a little wrestler.
It's crazy to see it. I know, man. Like, remember back, we knew him when he was first kind of coming along. It's really, really cool to see how far he's come. So we did where everybody submitted their names and everything. We did that giveaway yesterday. And again, shout out to, Marche Maddox and her family for winning those. But today we were doing by the way, we're still encouraging everybody, Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling, find them on Facebook and give them a like, follow whichever one. I think the page is, I can never remember how that works anymore. But give them a follow so you can stay up to date on their calendar. It's picking up a pace. We're not going to get into all of that right now, but it's picking up pace. They're going to be running a lot of shows
and I have
in the very near future.
Totally respect this promotions they're doing where they're giving out free tickets publicly, not just handing people tickets like a lot of shows do. These people are making contests for people to get free tickets. They're exposing more people, and they're getting their brand out there. People that might not go to a wrestling show.
And look, it was a way to try to encourage, and it worked. They got some followers there on their social media, and so the tickets. It was a family 4-pack with the meet and greet. The winner for the actual social media challenge was Freddie Lamb, Buford, Georgia. And I know a lot of people are asking, like, "Hey, this thing's airing on Thursday. Like, did they?" I reached out to all the winners knew on Monday. I reached out to them on Monday and let them know because I wanted to make sure they were able to come. I did put it out there, but I wanted to announce it here on the shows as well. So Freddie Lamb, congratulations. We will see you there. So Marche and her family and Freddie and his family, find us. Hey, we want to say hey. We want to shake your hands. I talked to some of the talents involved. They're going to do some pictures if you want to take some pictures, not just the meet and greet, but we can introduce you to some of the actual talents on the show as well, get some pictures and, that kind of stuff. So absolutely, we'll have a fun there at Turnbuckle, and we're going to talk about a little bit about that as we head into making the drives. That's right, man. It's another big weekend brought to you by Pressure. It's all your JMartinCompany.com for all your pressure washing needs, window cleaning needs, gutters, driveways, all the above. Anything you need there, check out our buddy JMartinCompany.com, whether it's on social media or, of course, on their website. They're the only people we trust. So, again, JMartinCompany.com.
I was singing Under Pressure in the background, Under Pressure. Because, he's pressure washer. It should be a good gimmick for him.
You would think. Hopefully I'll see Jamie. I need to hit him up and see if he's coming out and check out his little turnbuckle there on Friday. But man, he's been so busy. That's why you got to book him. He's been booked out for a while. He's pretty heavy. He's been busy. So. Oh
yeah. He's booked more than some of these wrestlers are.
That's an understatement. So let's dive into making the drives this week. Friday, pretty bit. It's actually one of the bits. Actually, how about this? Friday's busier than Saturday for a change.
Rarely ever happens around here.
Rarely ever happens. Southern Honor's got a big show coming out. They had their follow up to their last month. Joe Black versus Jackson Drake for the Southern Honor title. Jackson Drake sent in the promo video.
Yeah.
Look, he had been there. He had faced Kenway a couple months. It's been a few months ago, maybe now at this point. And it was kind of cool to see Huck make a little bit of a comment, heading into this about be careful. I've seen those eyes looking at me back when Joe was looking at him. So sometimes you have this young, hungry talent like a Jackson Drake coming in, but it is Joe Black.
Yeah, yeah. This is something I'm interested in to see how this turns out. Can't believe uh, the cards they put together, especially Gary wrestling again.
Yeah,
But he's
like Gary's not going to wrestle, and then he's in the ring. Now it's going to be Gary Lamb and Gunnar Miller versus Exotic Youth. I mean, how
well.
crazy?
I really think, just to be honest, Gary did a better job picking tag team partners than Zach Mosley did. I love Cornelius Pepperbottom, but Gunnar Miller is it. Well, he's Gunnar Miller. I've been impressed with him since I saw him a million years ago. He's Gunnar Miller. If you don't know who Gunnar Miller is, I suggest you look them up.
Yeah, problem is too you pissed him off a couple shows ago when you put him out. So that's why he wasn't even at the last shows because they heard him at the show before that. So now you got an angry Gunnar Miller returning to team with a Gary Lamb. Hopefully, look, this is the show. Like we end this right. Like this has got to be. We said that about the last show.
This
It's
has been
got to
going
be
on
the
for a
end.
while,
Yeah.
so we'll see. Um, I am excited for Levin Warden versus the Infantry. Okay, this is an elevation match for Levin Warden versus two signed talents who are phenomenally good. So there's great chance, great opportunity for those two. I know Lev is signed. Warden has a chance to be just absolutely killing it in this. A guy that I respect and think a lot of. I can't wait to see this match. Kyle Matthews and CT Keys. It's a different challenge for Kyle Matthews than his match versus QT, which was a phenomenal match. But this is a much different challenge, Nick.
And by the way, the match you just referenced, QT Marshall versus Kyle Matthews for this Jake the Snake Legacy title, that match is available on IWTV now. Go out of your way and check that match out. We can't put it over enough. It's a great
Best
match.
match I've seen all year.
Yeah.
I hate to talk in hyperbole like that and just say things. It's the best match I've seen.
It's what you do. It's okay.
It was, it's wrestling. Everything
it's your gimmick. Yeah.
But it's my gimmick. I love everything, but I really like this match.
See, look, Kyle Matthews, hands down. We always talk about how like he is absolutely one of the best technical wrestlers in the Georgia. Heck, they named an award after him. But CT Keys, like people animal. Don't let it waste on you. He is the reigning, defending Southern Fried Champion. He is. He's a former Coastal. He's everywhere.
Beat Jeter.
Yeah. So
the largest man in Georgia wrestling.
CT Keys is a guy you do not want to underestimate. This, I understand you beat QT. This is a different, like you said, this is a different match and a different creature.
Can work people of all different styles. He worked CB Suave last weekend.
Yeah.
You can't even import wrestlers bigger than Jeter. So
yeah. Nick Halen versus Aaron Dallas. Owen Knight versus Jay Lucas. Kenway versus Seabolt. Loaded up show, man. Absolutely up there in Canton, Georgia.
Massive opportunity for Seabolt. Finishing 2024 stronger than anyone else in Georgia, in my opinion. Belts, wins, bookings, easily most improved wrestler of Georgia. Easily.
So that's Southern Honor Wrestling, Canton, Georgia. Bell time is 8 o'clock. Make sure you're checking them out. We are going to be there. Obviously, we're going to be there because of the ticket giveaway. We're going to go see, meet the fans who won the contest and everything. We're going to be at Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling, Buford, Georgia, at Tannery Row Ale House. We already mentioned the meet and greet with Preston Vance. Mm-hmm. You're going to see talents like, Varia Morales, Brady Booker, QT Marshall, a lot of our overselling point to the show is always simple, folks. It's family friendly. It's fun and entertaining, and it never overstays its welcome.
Nope. 2-hour show and you're gone. Just put Vari on the card. You don't have to tell me who's wrestling. Vari, sorry. You give him a broomstick, you'll still get a better match than a lot of shows you go to. You give him a dustpan, and he's still going to give a better match than a lot of shows you go to. So that's worth going to see on its own. The amount of talent and I just can't go over how much I like this. I really like the cheeseburgers there at Tannery Row now too. I've become very, very friendly with the cheeseburgers.
Tannery Row Ale House, Buford, Georgia, 7 p.m., Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling, by Myron the Cheeseburger. PCW in Conyers,
Ooh, that's
bell
even
time is
better idea.
8 o'clock. Dominic Stuckey is wrestling the aforementioned Jeter that you talked about.
Yes.
How crazy is that? You want to talk about a massive challenge, and that's in Jeter's Platinum. PCW is Jeter's a staple there. He's a home. That's his house.
This is the one I am so impressed with what they're doing down there and so much progress they're making. Think these people are doing a very good job down there. They're doing a great job advancing talent. They're getting people that are young and not getting a lot of opportunities and putting them in places where they can develop. Plenty of training opportunities down there. I think they're doing a wonderful job.
Trey Shaw versus Lamar Diggs. That is for the Dealer's Choice Championship. Should be a big look. You're a Lamar Diggs guy.
Yeah, I'm a Lamar Diggs guy.
So absolutely check it out.
Definitely
Trey Shaw, Lamar
that
Diggs there. ERC versus Hakeem Young. Country Strong Style, Shaw and Cedric Terrell versus DJ Smoke, Nate Mansions, Chad Skywalker, Rose Gold, bunch of more. Again, make sure you're heading down there. Check out Platinum Championship Wrestling in Conyers. Bell time, 8 o'clock. This is the show next that we went to last weekend on Friday. We went up to the Royston Dome there in Royston, Georgia for a little squared circle action. Lots of confusion. If you're curious what's going on up there, because by the way, it's a weekly TV show. This thing is on TV.
Yeah,
it is shot and presented like TV
and edited like TV.
Yeah,
and you can find it. I was sent the link to the TV program. They have a professional wrestling product out there on this TV channel's website. You got to go check it out. I'll try to get the link posted up for you. It's lots of fun to see that done. I mean, I know a lot of people post stuff on IWTV and stuff like that and get their matches out on YouTube, but this is like a little TV show or an actual TV show. It's cool. It was fun though, seeing some of the, you get to see a lot of the talent on other shows. We saw Rick Page doing his best Luka Daniels indie show impersonation. He ran out to be security. When Luka Daniels runs out to intercept people at WWE, Rick Page ran out to intercept people at Southern Fried. I thought his little impersonation was, and then he was working the concession stand before the show was over. Man's got to get booked. He's trying to get bookings. You got to admire that.
And like I said, yeah, it is presented very much like a television product, which is kind of you kind of I always tell people you got to know that going into it because you can kind of get caught off guard because they're literally fleshing these stories out. Jonathan Feltner, JJ, yeah, I mean like they had to set kind of explaining what's happened over the last few weeks. We finally got to the point where clearly there's an issue between JJ. He walks off, leaves Feltner with no answers as to why he would take the phone, why he would, lead him to believe there was an emergency at home, kind of run the show behind his back. Lots of stuff going on. They've even set up the big thing they announced, by the way, so we're going to flesh out more matches, I'm sure. Black Friday. They're going to do like quarterly specials going forward. And so a lot of that stuff, yeah. So a lot.
But you were telling me about this Christian Taylor gimmick. This is what I thought was awesome. He's in a lumberjack match and something happens and he thinks he's an actual lumberjack now.
He is a lumberjack. I saw him. He's got the boots. He's got the jeans. He's got the suspenders. He's got the toboggan. By the way, I kind of referenced this on the other show. I don't know. He's kind of built like a lumberjack. So, yeah.
But how cool is this, Nick? How cool is giving a kid a gimmick?
What are you talking about? He's a lumberjack.
Exactly. He's pulling it off like he's an actual lumberjack, and he's staying in his...
He is a lumberjack. I'm confused what you're saying. I don't understand. He is a lumberjack.
Exactly.
Ask him. He'll tell you. So, yeah. So, I mean, you got to check. Him and Boulevard have brawled all over this thing. Clearly nothing, was answered. I just want to ask him, get him in there and ask him why. I mean, so you're a lumberjack? Where are you from? Find out. I don't know, man. It's a.
What if he gets in a lumberjack match? What's he going to do?
He'll probably get outside the ring. That's where he belongs. He's a lumberjack. So, yeah. Skit every week it's like clockwork. There Friday up in Royston. check them out at the Royston Dome, SCA, Squared Circle Action. But yeah, wait, give them a follow too. They put a lot of the content up, the YouTube stuff on their channel, so you could see it as well. Well, now we're going to roll into Saturday, Myron. And of course, let's jump right into it with our show of the week. And this week's show of the week is none other than Wrestle America down there in Forsyth, Georgia. That is bell time at 7:30. Forsyth, Georgia, Wrestlemerica. Look, Wrestlemerica. I don't think you've done one yet. I haven't
gotten to go to one yet. You've been to one. You liked it a lot.
I loved their show. I know it sounds crazy. I love an indie show in a gym.
Yeah,
there's something nostalgic about it. Look, don't get me wrong. I love a good Tannery Row show. I love certain menu, but like the old school gym kind of brings up. Yeah, it's just like you would imagine. It's loud and proud. It's part of what I love about them. But we're gonna go through some of this card and make our picks. So we're gonna again hate that we're kind of pushed on for time a little bit, but Hunter James versus Fry Daddy. Fry Daddy just hasn't been happy since he's lost his title, and unfortunately, I got a feeling he ain't gonna be happy wrestling Hunter James either, because for some reason Hunter James has his head screwed on straight here. So I like him here. He behaves himself a little bit.
I got to go with Hunter because I've watched his talent develop over a long period of time, and he's really solid. He is incredibly solid. I'm not as familiar with Fry Daddy. I know he's been on the scene for a long time, but I am a firm Hunter James fan.
Typically, I would agree with you. Typically, I would say that is true. However, this is Fry Daddy's. This is his home, right? This is his backyard.
Yeah.
Hunter James is kind of new to here. He's kind of getting his footing and learning his pecking order of where he belongs there in the Wrestlemerica. So I'm going to go with Fry Daddy because Fry Daddy's hungry. He's ticked off, and generally, Fry Daddy ain't by himself. So that's why I'm going Fry Daddy. Dominic Stuckey, Duncan Afasella, Duncan Mitchell, call him what you want. Young Mighty Joe versus Michael Stevens and Damage Inc. in a 6-man. Dominic Stuckey, dude, he's the man right now. Yeah. He's the champion.
He's getting all kind of bookings, all kind of exposure. Did a death match show. He's done things all over the state of Georgia. His stock keeps improving. This is going to be a tough one, man. What a great babyface stable here, and this young Mighty Joe kid. I look forward to getting to see him live because
he's a blast to see. He is a blast. And I highly recommend checking him out. I got to go with, Stuckey, Duncan, I'm gonna go with and Young Mighty Joe. The only thing that scares me, Michael Stevens is another guy. He's hungry and wanting to be, he wants to be the number one contender there. And I think he believes if he can pick up a win against Dominic Stuckey that he should earn that right. We will see. I just don't know. You know what? I'm going to change my pick. I'm going to go with Stevens and Damage Inc. just because they're a unit. They're used to being a team together. I know Duncan and Young Mighty Joe are a tag team. Stuckey's kind of like a piece added to them, even though he is Dominic Stuckey, the champion. I'm going to go with the other guys. I think Michael Stevens, by hook or by crook, tries to find a way to actually become the number one contender there. Look, we talked about CT Keys up there at Southern Honor. Big challenge against Austin Towers, man.
I love seeing CT travel, man. It's good for Georgia wrestling to see CT traveling.
Yeah, he's a little ticked off that he lost to Hunter James at the last show. Kind of putting out open challenges, kind of getting answered with Austin Towers, and I get it. Austin Towers is a big man. They love him in there. By the way, they love him down at Wrestle America. They love some Austin Towers. CT Keys, not so much. But as a wise man says from time to time, not so fast, my friend.
Yeah.
CT Keys is a beast. Yeah. And here's the thing. He might be ticked off if he doesn't pick up a win on Friday night at Southern Honor, and Austin Towers he's gonna be the one that pays the price for that.
Yeah, he can work a big man too, though. That's the thing. He is really good at working big men. This is CT Keys all the way for me. CT all the way. I don't know if I can ever vote against CT Keys. I mean, if he was fighting Goliath or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Jacob Johnson, Tristan Moody. Jacob Johnson's kind of like got to get his his win-loss record turned back around. Tristan Moody from up in the Carolinas. Look, I get it. You're coming in. Hey, much respect for coming in and trying.
Yeah.
Jacob Johnson, he's taking this one to the house. That's my pick.
Not as familiar with Tristan Moody. I look forward to getting to know more Carolina talent coming into Georgia to see what they can do, but I'm going to go with Jacob Johnson myself also.
Also, the Liberty Championship will be on the line as KJ Impala defends against Bobby Moore. Look, we're super familiar with both of these guys.
Okay.
We've seen Bobby Moore. Yeah, go ahead.
Never mind. Is this a chance for KJ Impala to transfer up to the level of like from rookie to veteran? Because Bobby Moore is a veteran. Bobby Moore knows what he's doing. Bobby Moore is also one of the biggest heels there is. Because I don't know if he's a babyface down there at Wrestle America, but I doubt it.
No, look, they love. Yeah, KJ's the guy. They love KJ. He's their champion. Bobby Moore, look, he just became the number one contender. Here's the thing. I don't know why. Everything should point that it's like, hey, Bobby Moore's the veteran. Bobby Moore's the guy that's been around. Bobby Moore's a multi-time champion or whatever. Something said the kid's hungry. He's keeping this. He's still going to be your Liberty champion when this match is all said and done. By the way, I tagged with him once.
Bobby Moore? Oh, no, you tagged with KJ.
KJ Impala.
Yeah.
I'm going KJ. I can't. I got to pick KJ.
I've seen Bobby wrestle so many times. I can't ever go against Bobby. And I don't know how many other the approved are going to be down there, but I've seen the approved show up at shows and interfere when you didn't see him at all. So hard to go against Bobby. But our man, Terry Lawler's going to be there.
Yep, he's going to probably be defending that Georgia champion, that Georgia championship wrestling, the Georgia heavyweight championship. Curtis Coleman's supposed to be there as well.
Curtis Mike Coleman, Payne. What a surprise!
Yeah, we'll see, man. But look, it's check them out. Wrestle America, Forsyth, Georgia. Bell time 7:30 p.m. Hey, look, we kind of tell you always, make sure you're following these promotions too, so you can see the stuff. We can kind of fill you in a little bit, but make sure you're following them so you can stay up to date on when they're running, where they're running, all those things. Because sometimes promotions move around. But look, somebody not so much who doesn't. NAWA Classic in Rome, Georgia. The bell time is 7:30. That is Saturday, of course. It's at the Anthony Center. It's going to be a bunch, and I mean a bunch of talents up there. Chris Kamikaze, the Ultimate Champion Zero, the Rome Heritage Champion Chris Gaines, Lamar Phillips, Ryan Marks, tons of names. And I know we discussed this a little bit. AJ Black is actually returning to the NAWA arena that night, and he is actually going to fight James Hardy, who's 1/3 half of the tag champions there. He wanted to take on somebody else, but that's who he's getting is AJ Black. So we're going to find out if James Hardy's going to take his anger out on one AJ Black and see. But Rome, Georgia, NAWA, they're running a lot up there. Check them out again up there in Rome, Georgia, man.
I think AJ Black is the key to all of this. That kid's doing so good right now.
Yeah. Also on Saturday, SWA in Eastanollee, Georgia. Bell time is 7 p.m. Look, they've put their card out. It's Tyler Blaze versus Big Bad Brando. Luke Da Silva, who you are a massive fan of.
Huge Luke Da Silva fan. He's somebody to watch. We got to see him this weekend at Southern Fried.
Mm-hmm. He'll be taking on 10KJ. You got Salem versus Brian White versus Dexter. Another favorite of yours, Dexter, Dynamic Dexter, the Unicorn. You're a big fan of his. Whether he's a good guy, bad guy, he's one of your guys. I got it. Look, Tyler Veach, who I actually saw in action for the first time at SCA, will be taking on Tower. God bless you, kid, because Tower is like a monster, literally a monster, who's just crushing it anywhere and everywhere. Whether it's OSWA, whether it's SCA, whether it's SW, doesn't matter. Tower's just got a massive run, everywhere. But you're also going to have unrated Crystal Rose. Rick Page will be there.
Yeah, I think he's working concessions again. I think he's going to be making the hot dogs. Unrated, Great young tag team. You need to be just watching them for the future. Crystal Rose, uh, folks, if you want the most established women's wrestling talent in Georgia, it's her. She is the stone, the that you've built Georgia women's wrestling around. If you were to start a new promotion, so uh, and she's their tag team champions. What are you going to say? Uh, Got to
Yeah,
respect her.
absolutely agree with you. Check them out Saturday, SWA Eastanollee. Like I said, bell time is 7 p.m. Then we're going to roll into Sunday to wrap up our weekend. AWE returns.
Yep.
Lots of stuff went down at the last show there, but it's multimedia, easy for me to say. Atlanta, Georgia. The bell time is 6 p.m. It's a Sunday, so keep that in mind. But Carly Bravo is crowned last show the Georgia Wrestling Crown Champion. This is going to be his first title defense at this show, and it's against none other than Ashton Starr.
Super popular there. Super talented guy. This should be fun to watch. Should be a lot of fun to watch. Ashton is a guy that's got personality. He's got a lot of stuff to captivate the crowd. It's a different thing than Carly's been wrestling lately, so Carly might have some surprises to deal with.
So here's my thing with Ashton. Ashton has the charisma. He has the personality. He has the talent. Now's the time for Ashton Starr to become the champion, to become the face of a company, the face of a brand, whatever you want to call it. This is his opportunity. The problem is he's stepping in the ring with Carly Bravo, and I think Carly Bravo's taking it on as a personal mission of himself. I'm going to take this Georgia wrestling crown, and I'm not only going to raise this title to even new heights, but I'm also going to be the flag bearer for AWE and raise them to new heights as well on the back of one Carly Bravo.
You got to give it, man. You got to give it to Carly as a signed Ring of Honor talent, and he's also taking over Georgia wrestling. That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable that he's able to still come back and just dominate the state like that.
We had a crazy statement. We don't talk about a lot of awards and stuff, but but one of the things I asked was, hey, he's not Heath asked me on the other show. He said, "Is he eligible to be a wrestler of the because he's signed?" And I'm like, "Well, the question is maybe if he's putting on more matches than most of the talents that are out there working."
Yeah,
because there's some weekends he's working 3-4 days, whatever a week in Georgia. Even on an average, he's doing 2, so he's working more than a lot of guys are. So maybe it's a match thing, but but I also, by the way, I don't think so. Just because I also say the same thing about Cruel, right? He's a national talent.
Yeah, Lev is a national talent. You got a lot of guys that are circulating in and out of different promotions now. I love seeing that. That is one thing I got to give AEW and them, the non-exclusive. AEW is the non-exclusive contracts that they have. It also probably makes it tough for them to book when you got people going other places though and getting injured. So.
Yeah. Their contracts are exclusive. They just can work indies. That's they just can't. They're another TV company.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Also, by the way, we're going to find out. Look, the rumor is Murder's kind of been in a bad mood. He's got some issues, maybe, potentially, possibly, with Kenway. Are we seeing cracks? Is there division in the hierarchy? We've never really is this going to happen? Or because could it be the end of them? Because, look, here's the thing. If the hierarchy ever – I always said this. If the hierarchy ever crumbled, it would be in the house of AWE, right? It's not going to be anywhere else.
It has to go there first. It can't go. It can't happen in another promotion. So now, without Chip on the scene, without Chip Day wrestling, and the hierarchy going away, that would be highly improbable. Kenway is so super talented. Would it give him a chance to go on and try something else? Would it be better for him to stay in the hierarchy? The tutelage of Murder One and Joe Black has to be beneficial for anyone, to be able to learn at that learning tree. So I don't even know what to tell you. I don't even know how Who would benefit from this?
Look, you got to check them out. You got to go find out what's going on with the hierarchy there in AWE. Najashism's going to make his debut. They pulled it all out. No avail. That's who his opponent's going to be in his debut. So great little measuring stick match when he comes in. But here's the thing. A lot of people think the pressure's on Naja. I don't know. No avail's got to rise to the occasion and and hang with Naja when you start talking about hanging with somebody. And
Naja
Georgia,
is established talent. Yeah. Naja has been out to Reality of Wrestling for Booker T. You're going up against a major talent, so you've got to. I mean, you got to bring your A game versus Naja.
Alexis Littlefoot and Helica Wrist, they're going to be there competing. They're going to start building back the Roar brand, the women's division.
I hope this works. I really hope this works.
Yeah, I can't think of a better person. Like, look, if you want to get in a little, I think Helica Wrist fits the AWE
yes
personality
business model. Yes,
yeah. So kudos to her. I hope you could do a lot. You could do a lot with her. So keep that in mind. Look, Owen Knight, bunch of other talents are going to be there. AWE, Meta Multimedia, Atlanta, Georgia. The bell time is 6 p.m. because it's a Sunday show. And again, without fail, they're absolutely one you want to give them a follow.
Yes.
They do put some of their content out on Facebook as well. So absolutely, without a doubt, Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment, you want to make sure you give them a follow on your social media. But look,
I love social media. I love wrestling social media.
Well, you know what I like? I actually like YouTube. TappedOutPod.com. Look, go out there. Make sure you're liking the page, liking all of the videos, subscribing to the page, clicking the little bell, so that way you get all the notifications every time we drop something, whether it is a public video, it's for behind the paywall. You got to sign up and you got to become a member there. Just look, patreon.com/TappedOutPod as well. You get all of the videos. We're putting the show notes up. We're doing hot takes. We're doing reviews, on and on and on. There's a bunch of new content on there. And yeah, I agree with you, Myron. Does make it easier when there's three of us, constantly putting some stuff out on there. I'm really looking forward to. Hopefully, like I said, I'm probably half an hour to an hour away from recording this with Ray Lloyd today, the Unbreakable Bunch. Really looking forward to doing that. We're going to do a movie review of the Unbreakable Bunch. Probably all three of us get together and just do a review over that. That'll be fun. Lots and lots of stuff. And by the way, reaching out to some even more talents. Matter of fact, just got a message that yes, I will be in about an hour. I will be recording with Glacier Ray Lloyd. So man, make sure. I always tell people, even if you're just a fan, try it out. Try the patreon.com. You can set up a free account. So that way you can set up a feed to your Spotify, to your Apple Podcast, all of that stuff. You can just get a free thing because it's really, really simple for that app as well on your phone. I'm a big fan of Patreon. I know a lot of people like YouTube, and I do as well.
I'm
a big fan of Patreon. Yeah,
absolutely everything in my life.
Well, look, big weekend, lots of stuff going on. Lots of stuff coming out, so make sure you're following us.
I can't wait.
Anything else, man, before we get out of here?
Just super excited. I love going to wrestling shows. I'm getting so excited for WrestleCade. I may have a cool thing to do tonight. I'm waiting to see how that develops. But guys, there is no shortage. I don't care where you live. There's no shortage of indie shows. I mean, out in Iowa somewhere, you might have to drive to a show, but you can find an indie show.
Look, we put it out, by the way. One of the things on the free Patreon, it's a free Patreon thing. I put it there. It's just super long, so it's the easiest place to put it. Phil Stamper does a list of indie shows by dates and whatever, and it is massive, which is why it's hard. It's too long to even post. YouTube doesn't let me post it. Yeah. It says it's too long. I got to break it up into 4, 5, 6 posts sometimes, and it's just not going to happen. So I always just share the free link to Patreon. But absolutely, you can find an indie show near you if you look.
Being a wrestling fan starts at the grassroots level. It starts watching a talent develop from a little chubby kid to some guy on the main roster somewhere looking like $1 million and selling merchandise through the roof. So get out there and support these people, support these promoters that are selling hot dogs to break even. This is wrestling at its finest, wrestling at its base level. It's worth supporting if you're a wrestling fan.
Way more intimate, way more contact, pictures, autographs, shaking hands, all that good stuff. See the stars of tomorrow today. That's what indie wrestling is all about, in my opinion. So, well, man, if you've got nothing else and I've got nothing else, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.